welcome to my channel. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to this week's WiPnChat. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which pen I'm going to use. I don't need a big back end, so let's go with the straight. This is a RachelRaeCraft. I was just thinking my lighting looks a little bit dark. We'll see how we go. I'm doing this little section over here. I have my tea. Grab yours. Grab your coffee. That's still very hot because it's fresh. Alright, and let's have a bit of a catch up and chat. I'm on to a very messy bit of the canvas. What I've done, I'm actually leaving the girl last because this is part of my Who You Say I Am series, and as well as just wanting to get it done, I am doing her last. That's just how it's going to be. It seems really dark. Sorry, I am going to fiddle with my lights. That is probably why it's dark. How are you all doing? I know life just seems to be changing at such a rapid pace. We had a press conference here Friday, a state press conference, and major changes are happening to do with the whole reopening of states and revisiting groups, meetings, and all of this kind of thing, and it's like, oh my god. And yeah, I don't know what it's going to mean for work changes or anything, but well, we'll see how we go. My work is very much a crowd-orientated kind of thing. Numbers are very important. Oh, no, I didn't think there was anything. God, tiny bit. This is what I hate about the clear cover. I can't see where it ends. We'll see how we go with this edge. The beauty being that you can slide on poured glue. And I just want to tuck these under the very edge. And we'll see how we go. Alright, so what's been happening? What has been happening? I have finished work on the weekend and blinked and the weekend is nearly finished. It's Mother's Day here in Australia. I did get a phone call this morning from one of my kids, which is very much appreciated. I would love if my other kids were as attentive, but I can't change who they are. It's also my dad's birthday in Ireland, and I said hello, happy birthday to him. He's 92. My niece actually got in first, and he seemed to imply she's in Australia, and I didn't realise she was coming here. There you go. I know, families, you know, brilliant at keeping in touch, aren't we? Yeah. But he's keeping well. He caught up with my sister for breakfast. It was a gorgeous morning in Ireland, looking at the photos. And, yeah, that's what they were up to. Now, I'm hoping I've got enough drills. I'm looking for 976. I've got a good partially open bag of that one. It's good. Sophie has conked out on the couch, which gives me a little bit of downtime. Ooh. She has been go, and then she's suddenly kind of keel over and collapse on the couch, and will probably be there for a couple of hours. As she does, which is fine. She can sleep on the couch, or I could pick her up and put her in bed, but it doesn't really matter. So what have I done? Okay, this weekend I've had a bit of fun. This weekend I got over my nerves and just did some dyeing. I was very nervous about putting colour onto fabric. I have only ever really tie-dyed before with food colouring. I did a t-shirt when I was working in Ireland in one of my supermarket checkout chick roles, and tie-dyed this white t-shirt that I had. I think it had Budweiser, so I put a bit of red food colouring where the Budweiser logo was, so you couldn't really see that, and dyed this, and it looked awesome. Put it in the wash, and all washed down. I thought, oh, it's not permanent. Anyway, that wasn't the point, really. It was for the day, and it worked for the day, but yeah, I got my white t-shirt back, which was kind of a bonus, I suppose. But yeah, it was funny that I had no clue when it came to dyeing, but food colouring works a treat if you want some temporary tie-dyeing. So yeah, I broke out the Ada and cracked open the bag of ice, and the 10-year-old was watching intently, and the hubby was watching intently as I'm scrunching up the wet Ada and putting it onto a tray and putting on the ice in copious amounts, and put the ice on, and it all fell off, and I'm kind of thinking, what are we going to do to contain this? And he goes, we'll get a cardboard box, and got a cardboard box, and then we said, oh, we're going to need a container to put it in because it was going to take ages to drip, and ended up reclaiming an old, well, not, it's not even old, it's a brand new Systema tub, one of these, so it got put into one of those with the lid on. Sophie proceeds to try and drive the thing around the lounge and the house and everything else, and I was like, oh god, no, because if she spills the dye back up onto the ice dyed thing, it'll ruin the colour. So I was worried about that more than anything else. The lid was on the tub, and there wasn't a hope of her getting into it. Well, actually there is a hope of her getting in. She can open these tubs now. But all she was doing was driving this thing around. Anyway, saved it. It then had the ice, and then I sprinkled the powder on in bits, really haphazardly. There's 2 pieces of linen in this mix, and let the ice do its thing, which was basically melt, and came out this morning. I think I took some photos last night. If I think about it, I might put some in of the before, the couple of hours in, and then this morning I've got them on the line. They're hanging out. I rinsed them in some cold water with some vinegar, and they're out on the line drying. I have to say, they look the bomb. Absolutely awesome. I'm so pleased how they look. Probably not quite as purple and orange as I was thinking that they might be, but the yellow is just vibrant, and the green is awesome. I actually used a Kelly green, whatever that is. I'm so pleased. Wait until you see them. And what else did I do? I did a coffee and tea. Now, what I did with the coffee and tea was get some coffee beans that I had given to me as a prize for winning an AeroPress. It was for straight black coffee. So you do a special grind on these beans, and you put it into the AeroPress, and you make your coffee. I'm not really into that, and I probably should let somebody else have the AeroPress, to be honest, but I haven't yet. So I used those beans because we're not going to use those in our espresso machine or a latte when we have coffee here. So I wasn't feeling like I was wasting beans. So I ground those beans, put them through the espresso machine so they were wet, and then threw the grounds all over the scrunched up piece of Ada. Then I think I ended up with 8 or 9 tea bags. Tore them open after dunking them in hot water for a couple of minutes, and threw them dregs over the Ada. So this is looking like a coffee bean ground sludgy mess. Now, didn't know how that would work out. Was hoping for some still white pieces, but it hasn't really got much white. The coffee's kind of leached through liquid form. Sorry? It wasn't in the Ziploc bag. No. Right. My husband's just brought up a mouse. A mummified mouse.
Very dry, very big.
Oh dear. But he brought it up in a bag. Which was, yeah. Not how I would have brought it up. I would have just carried the thing. Yeah, it's just me. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to show it on camera, so you don't need to go jumping on the seats like Mammy in Tom and Jerry. Don't worry. So anyway, the coffee and the tea. So I googled some how to set the coffee and tea yesterday because I have no idea what I'm doing with the dyeing and how to set it, and found a mum and daughter couple who are really, really cool, actually. I can't even remember who they were, but they were really cool. And watched them, and they actually steeped theirs in liquid coffee and liquid tea. So I was already off to a bad start with how I was doing it. And watched that, and they set theirs by putting it into the oven. And they said, you got to be careful because it will scorch on some bits where it's either on the tray or at the top. Either one. So I popped mine in the oven at 100 degrees. It gave it about an hour and took it out and noticed, oh yeah, there are some scorch marks where it was resting on the tray. Oops, my bad. Glad it was only in for an hour. The scorch marks aren't burns though, they're just darker scorch marks. And then you've got the creasing, and then you've got the heavy coffee and the lighter coffee. And hang on just a second, I've got... Right, that's a bit better. One of the screens that I was watching was showing me in a full, and it was just throwing me off. So yeah, I've got the coffee stained thing in a big creased mess also hanging out in the line. I was going to say that I could iron it, but I don't like my husband's iron. I didn't keep my old iron when I left the family home because I thought he had an iron. And I'm a bit loath to use his iron on the fabric. I can't seem to get it to steam. It's really odd, his iron, even though it says it's got a steam function, and I'll be quite happy to get rid of it, but we haven't actually ironed anything. I think I've ironed something twice since I've moved here 5 years ago. Twice I've needed to iron something. I don't have clothes that need ironing. I fold things when they're, you know, off the line, and they get hung in the cupboard otherwise, and they just don't need ironing. They don't get overly creased as such. So we don't really have any cause for an iron, and I don't know that I particularly want to spend $100 on an iron for no reason. So I think what I will do with my coffee piece is fold it up flat, put it into one of my big Ziploc bags as I store all my Ada, and it'll be done. Yeah. So that's my coffee tea dyed Ada. I also have my, now I might get this wrong. This is Brandy, and it's Bee Stitch something or other. She does dyeing. I've got pieces coming next. Well, coming. They're shipped from the States in however long they take to get here. They were ones that you had to put a me please to win, basically. First in, first served. And then she had a bunch of giveaways. So I've got a bunch of hand-dyed stuff, and these are really vivid. There's a, I think it was originally described as a dark grey blue, but it's actually like a blue-green. There's a... you'll have to wait to see. But anyway, that's enough of me probably talking Ada when we're talking diamond painting. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. So yeah, it's a whole new world, this dyeing Ada. Excuse me, just a second. No, maybe not. I was just going to get something to cover that bit off. Yeah, I will. Alright, I just don't want to let any of the bits lose their sticky if I can help it at all. Alright, gonna need a new bag with this one. So yeah, because one thing I've found, and I will say again, you guys in the States, you're spoiled. Not only have you got shipping, no, I've gone and moved it already. Not only have you got shipping that is working for the better part, it you have a better sales area. You've better range of purchase power, I guess, with your dyed fabrics. I've looked here in Australia and I can't find Australian dye companies that do quite what I'm after. Now, the ice dye, yeah, didn't have a clue. It really is easy as to do it. Maybe more people are doing it themselves, more people maybe in Australia. I don't know if that then means that there is an outlet in Australia for hand-dyed Aida. I don't know. I mean, the girls who do the dyeing that I kind of follow, like Misty and even Brandy, the colours do seem to be quite hit and miss, and they kind of go, you know, this was a disaster colour, and people are still going, oh my god, I love it, I want it. And it's like, if there really is this outlet for the hand-dyed fabric at crazy colours or finish or whatever, yeah, maybe it's something I should look at getting into. But to be honest, the pieces of Aida, I haven't found them at a price that I could kind of warrant buying it for. Like, I'm buying high street prices, so I need to be able to get it at a wholesale price and then dye my own to be able to then sell it at a high street price. Does that make sense? So that's put me off maybe doing much more research in it than that. I don't know how you become a purchaser and seller rather than a customer to be able to get the benefit of the wholesale prices. I just don't know where to start. I'm sure my husband could come up with something with me. No, I haven't talked to him yet. And like, he's over that way, and I'm kind of brainstorming while I'm sitting here, so it's all really fresh, but it is something that I'm kind of thinking, you know, what is the feasibility of doing something like that? How much time would I need? I don't have an overlocker to sew the edges. Do I sell them with the rough edges? Because the materials that I have purchased don't have the rough edges. They've got sewn edges. And do I have the time when I work full time? All of that kind of thing needs to be taken into consideration. And while it's something that I certainly got a kick out of doing, it was fun, do I want to be doing it as a full-time, part-time kind of hobby? Do I just get one bolt of Aida, for instance, which I don't know how many bolts, excuse me, is on, sorry, how many yards or meters are on a bolt? Let's say, for instance, it's a 5 meter bolt and it's 1 meter wide. How many, you know, fat quarters that works into? Do I sell by the fat quarter? Do I sell per, you know, whatever it is? I don't even know what a common size is for, you know, fat quarters do seem to be a common size, but is it a common size for Aida, or is it something that needs to be bigger or smaller? And yeah, so I really need to do some checking on that and see what sizes are available, see what purchasing I could do. I certainly have some contacts, and I could have been part of the local stitchy group. They were having a Zoom meeting, kind of stitch along this afternoon, and my husband, being the techie, doesn't want Zoom in his network, so I had to kind of go, oh no, can't do that. Oh, I didn't want to, yes, well, okay, I could have, but yeah. Anyway, I've been using Zoom at work, but again, you know, if my security isn't up to scratch at work, well, more fool the IT department, who are normally all over everything like a rash and don't let you install anything. Anyway, so yeah, I hadn't talked to him, so I didn't want to presume that I could introduce something to the network, because the last time I did, he's kind of going, oh my god, you shouldn't have done that. It's just not worth it. So, anyway, I'm brainstorming with you. Let's see where it goes. He will now keep me accountable. And, yeah. We have started an Etsy store. We've got our new printer. I don't know if you can hear the chick 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 in the background. That is our new printer. That's our new baby Prusa. We need to give a name for this Prusa. Katrina was the previous mistress. She is now downstairs. She's been relegated to the basement. Maybe this is going to be Priscilla, just because Priscilla. Would that work, Priscilla? Oh god, he wants hexadecimal involved again.
Well, even if it starts out being numeral, it'll end up being hexadecimal. So maybe P0.
P0 is not a very good name, and we can't call it poo.
P0.
That's not...
Okay.
I called my car... No, stop.
PM0.
PM0. That's even worse. That's a pmoo.
PM0.
No, that's... When I met my husband, I had just bought my car. Right, my car is a Jeep. Yeah, don't crack any jokes on that. I got them all for my family. I like the Jeep. Back off. Nobody seems to like a Jeep. Anyway, it gave me no end of grief, but it did get a name. And my car was named Norbert. Is named Norbert. Now, he had a classic, a vintage 120Y. It's an old Datsun 120Y. 120Y is the model, just like a Jeep Patriot has the Patriot as the model. It's a Datsun, it's a 120Y. He calls it the 120Y, and I'm kind of thinking, how can you have a classic car? This was his grandmother's car too. How can you have a classic car and it doesn't have a name? I was so disappointed. I really thought better of him, and he's gone and left the room, so he's not going to be sniggering at me in the background now. But it's like, oh, how can you not have named a car? And I hadn't named any of my other cars. You know, it was a Nimbus, or it was the Pajero. You know, they were boring make names. But Norbert got a name, even though he doesn't really have a personality except stubborn as all hell. But I do have a little red dragon sitting on my dashboard, hence the Norbert. And he is Norbert is red, and the registration has NO in it, so the NO gave rise to the Norbert bit. Look, I thought it was cool. Any of the girls will think naming your car is the business. Many of the guys may not be so quite not familiar. Sentimental, that's the word. I can see my microphone is ticking with the printer. It is noisier than Katrina was. I don't know if we can make it quieter, but hot damn, it's fast, and my husband is making things like instantly, having very few failures, whereas the Ender was giving us failures as he was using all sorts of techniques that were new and bizarre to it. This thing has printed some roses for me for our wedding anniversary, which was on Friday. Yeah, it's printed a handle for a cardboard box that he's using as his lid for the CNC machine. He's got all the toys, and now that he's put stuff down in the I was going to say the basement, it's not really a basement, now that he's put stuff down in the bowels of the house, he's not up here quite so often, so I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, which is why I let him have Katrina up here. So he was kind of sitting perched, watching his beloved printing with the torch, and he'd sit there and he'd just watch, mesmerized. It is quite mesmerizing watching a printer do its thing. But he would sit there and he'd be mesmerized, and he'd be fiddling with the speed and with the temperature. Well, the Prusa doesn't need quite so much on hands fiddling, so he can kind of let it do its thing. But one of the first things he printed, I think, was a little cage that you get, you know, the little wheel that you get the hamsters running around in. He printed one of those, and then he printed the hamster to go off it. It's inside it, and when the printer is going, the little hamster is running around, the wheel's going around, and the hamster is hanging off this little ring. It's so funny. So he's got this little purple hamster in there. The Prusa has all this orange trim on it, so you know, we still got the purple and orange kind of accents. Yeah, we will probably end up getting another one. This is a mini, and I swear it's tiny, but it's a very utilitarian bed, and it's very useful. And yeah, I don't know if we would go with a mini the next time. We could do, but it's pretty much printed in the Prusa factory. It's open source everything, and the support is there. It's phenomenal. He's been watching on a spreadsheet since we put the order in at Christmas time, because this was actually his Christmas present, I think. He's been watching it since Christmas time to see when it's been built, and suddenly he got these emails saying it's being built, and he's getting all excited like a little kid at Christmas. And the next thing we know, this beast has shipped, and it's here within a week, or something ridiculously fast. It was brilliant, especially at this time when things are shipping so slowly. It took me 2 months to get something from the United States, and that was just a small envelope. This was a great big hulking box, and it got here in next to no time, and he was delighted. Yeah, it's just brilliant to have this support system of like-minded people. Prusa, of course, being the printers and geeks, I suppose, that they are, and some geeks are just the business. These guys went and designed the headband that goes around here, and there's a band that goes around the bottom, and then you've got the acetate sheet to make the face mask, the kind of shield, face shield rather than a mask. They were the ones who designated half their print farm to making face shields. We got a face shield in our printer, and the instructions on how to print it are open source. You can plug them in, print them, good to go. Prusa are just, you know, the community spirit in there has just been brilliant, not just for those, but the open source, being able to let you see how it's done, letting you into the factory to see how they make the filaments, and it's all, you know, self-made. And this is just started off with one guy, one geek, had an idea, ran with it, and now has a monstrous farm building machines that then come to here and build more things. But he's got this farm of machines building more machines, and it's incredible how 3D printing is so much more backyard now than it used to be. Back when my son was, my eldest, I think, he was going to college, so grade 11 and 12, he actually had a tour of the school, and I think in the art department was a 3D printer. It was either there or it was even in his high school, which is grade up to 7 to 10, and there was a 3D printer there, and it took ages, and it was just like, yeah, this is just not going to happen in our lifetimes to be a home printer. Just like we probably thought the same with home printers when, you know, we didn't have an A4 printer to print pages in our own homes in a lot of cases. But now it's, you know, it's actually cheaper to buy the printer than it is to buy refill ink. So yeah, we have two 3D printers, and yeah, the aim would be to get more, and the aim would be to print more things. He's into his tech gadgets. He's printed me the light, which I'm still waiting for it to be rigged. We need to get in and take apart walls to get the wiring in and things like that to fiddle with, so that I can sit on the couch and not feel like I'm a bat needling in the dark. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Yeah, but it's been fun. It really, really has. Now I know I mentioned very, very casually that it was our wedding anniversary, and I think I might have mentioned last week that it was the wedding anniversary coming up. But let me just kind of tell you about how we came about the date. The date, in Australia, there's a big deal with the Aborigines saying that Australia Day is actually Invasion Day, and how we should be celebrating Australia Day on May 8th. And May 8th, being an Aussie word, excuse me, was how, I was going to say Tenacious D, it's not Tenacious D, that's Jack Black. There was a band, a Kiwi band, I think. Or maybe it's an Australian band. I don't know. Either way, it's not really. No, I think they're Kiwi. The band were kind of saying, no, let's do it on May 8th. And May 8th was, you know, this thing about being mates and having a Barbie and, you know, doing it for your mates and all that kind of thing. And that's really where the spirit, I suppose, of Anzac comes in. And we thought this was pretty good. My husband needed the link for him in his mind to a date that he would remember. So for him, he can remember May 8th, mate, as a wedding anniversary when we got mated. You know, does that make sense? So yeah, May 8th is when we picked for our wedding anniversary. So that was on Friday. And I think I might have said that it was my dad's birthday yesterday, and it's my sister's birthday tomorrow. So again, need to get on the whole WhatsApp thing. Don't use WhatsApp except for my family. And say happy birthday to her. She's going to be 59. Yeah, I think she's going to be 59. I don't think she's 60. I hope to God she's not 60. Nobody told me she's 60 and we're getting a big present for her. Anyway, I think in Ireland, excuse me, I don't know why this happens. I get runny noses the last couple of times I've been doing my WiPnChats. Dear. Yeah, she connected the family up with WhatsApp, and it's not something I ever use in Australia. It seems to be a bit hit and miss with people here. I hadn't actually heard of it before 2014 when she told me about it. And yeah, it was just like, no, not happening. So I never really adopted WhatsApp as a thing. I kind of drifted off Twitter. Excuse me. Twitter, I used to be on, and my God, that was like a if you ever watched Doctor Who, the silence, you know, sucking your brain out, that's what like Twitter was with me. You could sit there and you could flick and you could read, and it was just mind numbing, and still get nowhere. You'd still not catch up with your feed, and I don't know if that was algorithms or what, but I was just like, I'm never going to catch up. So I ended up getting rid of it. Now, a friend of mine put a tweet up that purported to be Donald Trump apologizing. The language was kind of wrong, and I thought, not sure. Anyway, I went on to Donald's Twitter account to see, did he actually say this? Far out, the man tweets a lot. I'm kind of thinking, how the hell can he run a country if he's constantly on Twitter? I was completely astounded, and it's not like he hands over his Twitter account to somebody else. He's doing this himself, and I was just like, oh my god, I get nothing done as it is if I sit and, you know, play too long on Facebook or Twitter or anything else. How the hell can a ruler of a country who's in meetings and doing important things spend too much time on this? Absolutely incredulous. Anyway, I never found those tweets either, so it turns out that there is a website that you can do fake Twitter tweets and make it look like it's really from the person, and it could have just been one of those kind of things. But yeah, it kind of goes to the point where I don't accept, if somebody says to me, oh, Trump is saying such and such, or whoever is saying whatever, I don't necessarily take it for gospel without checking if it's true, or, you know, maybe running it through Snopes if it's, you know, facts. That kind of thing. So, yeah, I didn't find any basis for this being real, and, yeah, short story was, I don't know how this man can be on Twitter so much. But, yeah, there's just so much, and that was just on his feed. It was like, oh my god. Yeah, don't miss Twitter. Not in the slightest. Yeah, that was quite a wake-up call. So what else? Did find out a local restaurant. Now, it's not exactly a short walk from me at work, but there was a restaurant cafe here doing take-it-home croissants, and a friend of mine had made chocolate croissants, I think yesterday morning, posted photos on his Facebook, and it was like, oh my god, I have not had homemade, half-made, home-heated croissants since I was in Ireland, and one of the bakery dudes sold me, I don't know, 20 frozen croissants, and basically what you did in the morning or the night before was that you put your frozen croissants on the tray, you let them defrost, and then they rise, and then you bake them, and you get the fresh smell of croissants in the morning, and they're hot out of the oven, and they're, oh, just amazing. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been 20 years. I can't get them in a roll here. We don't have pastry in a roll like you guys have in the States. I could get them in Ireland. I was able to get, I think they were croissants. You were able to get these pastry in a roll. They were awesome. The ones that, you know, you knock them on the side of the counter. They explode, and you unroll them, and you tear them apart, and you make them into your own croissants. Yeah. I miss conveniences like that, but Australia hasn't got on to the crappy convenient food in some cases. If they've got crappy convenient food, don't get me wrong, but they haven't got into that kind of convenience, which is a bit of a shame. They also haven't, I haven't found, I think it's pumpkin pie filling. And what's the other one? Oh, my brother missed apricot nectar when he was in Ireland with his Aussie partner. She missed apricot nectar. Apricot nectar is basically a jar, a can of apricot puree, apricot juice kind of thing. And she used to make apricot chicken with it. I haven't done that because I'm not Australian, so I haven't got used to that kind of chucking in a pot with a can of juice and whatever else to make apricot chicken. It's actually pretty good. I've had somebody else make it for me. But it's quite sweet. And I'm not a big fan of apricots. I think it's just the... Oh dear. Crash bang in the kitchen. I think it's just the texture of the fibre in the apricot that puts me off enjoying it. Peaches, I love. Nectarines, I absolutely adore. Pears, I used to love my homegrown Victorian plums. They were on our plum tree in my backyard as a kid, and they were so sweet. The wasps would come in and eat them, and they were awesome. And I have tried to get a tree here and failed to get it to grow. I like plants. I'm not necessarily a brilliant green thumb, although my Swiss cheese is looking fantastic. I have a Swiss cheese leaf that, not kidding you, it's more than a foot across and it's more than a foot deep now, and it's still the kind of teenage green. It's not got to the dark green yet, and it's just looking lush and gorgeous. It's got all the holes. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I love my Swiss cheese, and I have spider plants, and the spiders are doing pretty good. I've actually repotted most of the babies, so the kitchen counter is half awash with green spiderlings, and mummy plant is in the corner spouting more spiders. And yeah, I don't like my spider plants. They're pretty indestructible for me anyway. I did buy a plant for remembrance of Astrophy when she died. I can't even think of what it is. It's a little variegated kind of green, dark green, light green. I think there's burgundy in it. So yeah, that's my plant to remember her by, and that's in the kitchen counter, just getting its feet, I suppose, more than anything. And I also have a Christmas cactus that my mum-in-law gave me after a cleaner destroyed the other one she gave me. I'm sure you've heard the story. If you haven't, a cleaner came in. They wiped out my Christmas cactus, knocked it off the desk, left me a note apologising, but didn't leave me the dregs of the plant so I could repot it, fix it, or anything else, because it is a plant that could have been saved. Was not happy. Called and called for the cleaner to be summoned back to me so that I could try and fix it and find it in the bin, because I didn't know what bin they might have dumped it in, and they never got back to me. Absolutely livid. And this was a gift given to me by my mum-in-law before she had her stroke, and I didn't think I could get it replaced. So yeah, that didn't impress me. Now I need an equals. Where are we up to? Oh no, I've got a few more I can go. Where are we up to? I'm running out of videos. I had a whole heap of videos made that now I need to start kind of keeping on top of things again. Record a whole bunch and get them edited or ready to be edited. I did my floss tube stash video. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun walking down memory lane. If you're into cross stitch at all, or you just like looking at stuff and not necessarily collecting the stuff, come and have a look. It will be out, I think, early June. I'm trying to space my floss tube, so it's floss tube is kind of like a once a month on the weekend kind of video. Excuse me. And just because I thought I was going to be concentrating, there it is, on diamond painting, I suppose. I wanted floss tube to be the kind of incidental, and I want the crocheting to be maybe more incidental. The other thing is, actually I'm going to take that back. The other thing is that floss tube is, it takes a lot longer to get a lot less done, whereas diamond painting, like, you can get much further diamond painting in a session than you certainly can with cross stitch. And the other thing is, I did consider sitting down with my cross stitch, and the idea of stitching with the Zoom girls, I'm kind of thinking, oh, like, I've been working on my Stiot Chalone piece today, which is house, basically. It's house's face. And the promotion for this pattern showed the saying, "Bless this house." I don't know if that's going to be our final phrase, but it is a play on house from 10 years ago, on the pattern that M and Matt designed, or M designed 10 years ago. So I've been working on that this morning. I've got his face finished and trying to keep track of all the stitches. I haven't been marking them off on the piece of paper or anything, which may or may not be a good or bad thing. I know I can't do that with all of my patterns. And to be honest, I definitely couldn't do it on a heaven and earth design kind of piece unless I was doing a stitch by stitch kind of thing. So from that point of view, yeah, if I lost count of where I was at with it, I would have been put in a world of hurt. So this morning I actually sat in bed. I was, let me tell you about my Mother's Day morning. We've got the 10-year-old in the house, and the 10-year-old is slightly more kind of with it with the whole Mother's Day and stuff. And yeah, she's not at her mum's, so I got the benefit of having this. So this morning she wanted to make me breakfast, and she wanted me to have breakfast in bed. So hubby made me a coffee, and they wanted to make me fluffy pancakes, found the recipe for them, and left the chaos in the kitchen and stayed in bed. And instead of just sitting in bed, Sophie was out watching Octonauts when she wasn't in the kitchen with the kids, with the kids, husband and daughter. Anyway, she was pottering around watching Octonauts, and they were in the kitchen trying to coordinate how to make pancakes. Now, the 10-year-old has done cooking from a box. This was probably one of her first time actually making from scratch ingredients. So she had to follow the ingredients. She had to follow the method. Hubby then coordinated the cooking of them, and it all came together. And they were freaking awesome. It was really, really cool. I was half expecting a disaster, but no, they were really, really good. And got my pancakes in bed. So it was like 10:30 before getting up to, well, let alone to eat. So I was awake at 8. We all slept in until 8 this morning. It was insane. We don't normally get to sleep in. Sophie came in for a sleep and conked out, and it was, 8 when we woke up. No, neither of us normally get to sleep in. Anyway, he'd say him. He's such a martyr. He normally goes to bed by 9 though, and he gets like 2 hours sleep on the other end of the night that I don't. Anyway, he'll say that's my fault too, because I don't go to bed early enough. Yeah. See? No sympathy. Wasn't after it. It's fine. Anyway, so I'm happily stitching away, listening to Mindy. Actually, I caught up on Mindy's live and listening to Mindy stitching away with the start of this stitch and getting the pattern and working on the pattern from my computer screen. Oh my god, the tech kind of, just ended up printing it later. And just sitting on the couch with it printed, because the battery life was just like zapping out of my poor little laptop at a stupid rate of knots, even though it was saying, oh, you've got 6 hours of battery life, and it was like after 2 hours it was like, I'm dying. Yeah, just didn't want to work. Anyway, got halfway through the face, and then had the phone call with my son just after I finished eating, and yeah, it was a lovely morning, with treats and food and coffee. Yeah, I am. And yeah, I was in the supermarket the other day looking for our meat specials, as we do. Found chicken at a really good price. So we don't normally have a roast chicken. My husband is quite scared of cooking roast chicken because he's worried that it's never going to be cooked quite right. White meat. He doesn't like doing white meat. He will do pork, but white meat, he's a bit more kind of, I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Showed him the trick of twisting the leg. Still didn't give him any confidence, but it's fine. And no, there's never any problems with your red meat. And you can have red meat, kind of rare, medium, delicious. So that's fine. ABEs, look at this. The sparkle is just, look at that. Oh, so much fun.
And then there's the crackling.
Yeah, and then there's the crackling on the pork. Oh my goodness. And yeah, so I'm on meat duties and he is on veggie duties for the roast, whereas normally he will kind of do all of the roast for us, which is awesome. So yeah, I've got to finish here and go get chuck trust. Not that I'm going to be trusting it much, but I'll get some herbs or seasoning happening. Maybe shove an onion into its guts to give it some flavour, because we use real gravy, so we'll be using all the dripping, and the onion will make it all kinds of tasty.
What you mean is no fake seasoning?
No, there's no fake seasoning. No, we'll be potentially putting some lemon pepper inside. Not overdoing it because it can get quite strong pepper and lemony. Don't want to have it too strong. And that's pretty much it. Maybe adding some herbs to beef up the lemon pepper. And we will be pretty good to go. So that is dinner. Alright, now that's one. I think time wise I'm going to wrap up around about the hour today. Alright, so I think we'll just get the black done. I'm going to be good for time. Alright, so what is coming up? Well, it's kind of hard to tell you what's coming up with the schedule, because I released this halfway through my scheduled week. But on Mondays you've still got the series, Who You Say I Am. On Tuesday, I can't even think what's going out on Tuesday. I would like to get an unboxing done. I have a diamond art club that I can show you, and I have a little bit of a surprise unboxing, because it was a bit of a stuff up. I'm not sure if I do it on its own or if I do it to compare with the replacement that's coming. So it could be that I record it as if it's on its own and then I merge the two. We'll see. Anyway, I have plenty to unbox. Short story. So yeah, you'll probably get an unboxing during the week. And then of course the facts, the Frivolous Fridays. Last week I did clowns, and if you haven't caught up on that because you're a bit scared of clowns, to be honest, the only clown you're going to see is me doing the dot to dot. You are not going to see anything else, and there are no scary facts other than to say, I think the year that Stephen King came out with his It clown, you don't get any images or anything else that might freak you out, because I know clowns can be quite off-putting. Mindy, though, put a lovely comment on that video saying how much she loves clowns and she's had great experiences with clowns. So it was really, really cool to see that people are having good experiences with clowns. One of my first experiences with clowns would have been potentially watching The Greatest Show on Earth and watching Jimmy Stewart playing Buttons, I think it was, if I've got my movies correct. And how friendly he was and how personable he was, and he kept his face paint on, which is a big no-no that I learned when I was reading out the facts. And because he was trying to keep his identity concealed, because of course he had killed a patient as a doctor and police were hunting for him. So yeah, that's why many people ran away to the circus. But anyway, he kind of gave me that love for clowns. And I think there was a whole series of these old family films, of circus films and stuff. And there was also, no, it wasn't, Red Buttons is the actor, that's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, I think this clown was called Doc in The Greatest Show, because he was the Doc in the circus as well. But there was Red Buttons as well. Red, of course, the old drama actor who did a lot of stuff. There was, you know, those kind of, I don't think, yeah, Charlton Heston was in The Greatest Show on Earth. Was he? Would he have been? Would he have been old enough? Gosh, he was very young, I know, as a ringmaster, but I don't know if it was the greatest show on earth. But yeah, there was a few in that kind of ilk that I grew up on, so yeah, there certainly wasn't a kind of crazy phobia. And then of course we had the silly clowns who had the stupid trick bikes and the, you know, stupid flowers with the water. And in Ireland, of course, I was familiar already with Piero, who did the mime artistry with the white face and the white suit and the funky little hat. Oh no, he had the braces and the there was a white clown that wasn't Piero. Piero was the mime with the stripy top and the braces. But there was another white clown with the, you know, floppy suit and the big collar and the little kind of triangle hat. That, you know, it was, you know, quite friendly by comparison. But yeah, memories, childhood memories, I suppose. We had high school teachers at my elder step's school, and one of the guys used to ride around on trick bikes, which was quite cool. He used to try and teach the teenagers how to ride them. We would have street performers who would ride on trick bikes as well. Clowns without the makeup, I suppose. The street performers being very, very popular in the winter festivals here. And doing crazy things with chainsaws and juggling and poles. But they were a lot of fun. They cancelled that this year, and yeah, to be honest, it was probably a very early call by the announcer, but potentially quite prudent, although we're now starting to get lifts of restrictions, so it's going to be interesting what happens coming up. The gathering limit is lifting and that kind of thing, and parks are opening up, which it would be good. You can only drive to a park that's within 30 kilometers of you, though, to the entrance. After that you can walk a little bit beyond the 30 kilometers, but you can't do any overnight stays or anything like that. But it gives people a chance to get back into the wilderness, I suppose. We have a national park just over there. Not that I will be heading up to it, and I think the city council have decided not to open the mountain yet. I don't quite know why. Maybe they just hadn't got around to doing it in the expected time limit that my friend posted it on, but he was saying this is really stupid, you know, get your act together and open the damn mountain already. Yeah. I think the issue is that while the mountain itself can be open, the car park is kind of pushing it when it comes to social distancing limits. And I don't know if he was taking that into consideration or if he was just having a bit of a bleat for the sake of bleating. So yeah. Look, we'll wait and see. It's all change, really. We haven't had any new cases in the state except the northwest corner where there was hospital transmissions because the cruise ship passengers came in with it. So the hospital staff were treating the cruise ship passengers. They caught it. They spread it amongst themselves a bit. Everyone was completely shut down then, and it stopped, and the hospital got deep cleaned with the Defence Force coming in. They did the deep clean, and we've only had like 2 cases announced since then up there. We've had another one announced down here. Again, they came in from quarantine. So we've got no community transmission. So if we can continue as a state to do that, well, I can't say that we're winning, because all it's going to take is one person coming back into the state and giving a big fuck you to the rest of us and say that they've been in Melbourne, for instance, they've been mixing with people up in Melbourne. They come back down here and they go, you know what, I wasn't sick up there, so I'm not sick down here, so I'm not going to do the self-isolation. And then they get sick. And they have spread it through the community in that process. That's where we're going to come unstuck. So far, everybody has been doing the right thing. There's been a few people who've breached the isolation rules, and the law has come down on them like a ton of bricks. But in the most part, people are doing the right thing because it's not just them that's at risk, it's our community. And our community is an old community, hence the 13 deaths that we've had, because it's in the nursing homes, and the older patients are the ones who are dying from this. So, yeah, people have been, in the most part, being pretty good. They've been really considerate, and yes, it's a hardship, but yeah, it's been good. And in saying that, look, yeah, it is only going to take one more outbreak, and we're all going to come unstuck again, but we'll see how we go. All we can do is just hope and be sensible and stick with these social distancing things. We've got some really ingenious businesses now have started with proper stickers on the ground showing the distancing, this proper shields at the checkouts and at the register areas in the stores. So there really is, you know, certain safeguards. Life as we know it is different, and there's nothing we can do to really get back where we were, get back to that pre-COVID innocence, stupidity, because people were getting colds and flus, you know, all the time here anyway. You know, it's the season, it's, you know, just what it is. So if less people get the flu this year because of how hygienic people have been, because of how sensible people have been, the old mentality of going to work while you're sick is now gone. That kind of routine is changing. It should make a better world, but it is going to look different. So yeah, we'll wait and see. So there you go, tiny bit done there of this pretty canvas. Oh, and an update, my daughter, who was given Trixie, she's finished it, and she enjoyed it. She found some bits fiddly. She wished she had more baggies to put the drills in, but yeah, she enjoyed it. She hasn't asked for any more, but she has enjoyed it. So that was really good. I was really pleased that she did enjoy that. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Do stay safe, take care of each other. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, click subscribe, ring the bell to get your notifications when I upload. I do try and upload Monday to Fridays, give or take, with the occasional weekend update, depending on what that might be. So it's a floss tube, or maybe a flick through, or something out of the ordinary might get thrown into a weekend. But generally, it's a Monday to Friday kind of schedule at the moment, particularly while I've got the Who You Say I Am series on the Monday and the Frivolous Facts on the Friday. I don't know what's going to happen when this is finished. There is another 10 episodes to go with this, so it will take us up to, I don't know, 10 weeks, 3 months, September-ish. Don't know what's going to happen after that. Yes, we'll see. So yes, please, if you would click like, I would really appreciate it. If you would drop me a comment, I would appreciate that so much more. I love chatting with you guys. I love seeing your comments, and my regular commenters, look, I really get a thrill seeing your names pop up and your greetings, and yeah, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the next week that's ahead. And yes, you stay safe and you do connect with your loved ones, and yeah, I'll see you around on the tubes. Bye for now.